Well, I hope that EFF-Austin people and your ATX Hackerspace people and whoever came in off the web will have a lot to discuss here. And yeah, I brought some books. So I have a few words to remark. In this particular book, Hacker Crackdown, is a book I wrote which was inspired by some law enforcement activities here in Austin about 20 years ago. And it still gets taught in like techno history classes now, and it used to be like a textbook for the IRS Criminal Investigation Division. But it's certainly no longer a topical book. It's really kind of a historical book. And here's the first edition, which has sort of been marinating like a fine wine in a cardboard box for a couple of decades. I think it's better off in the hands of the people now, and that would be you. And we've got a few of the perennially favorite difference engine here for you steampunk fans in the audience. That's kind of a maker scene. I mean, a lot of maker guys are into steampunk, so we brought over a few of those. Got Distraction here. It's a book about politics, which is, often considered my most prophetic book because it's all about a really wrecked American politics. And we really have a wrecked American politics. And then we've got a book here called Heavy Weather, which is, about climate crisis in Texas. And there is a climate crisis in Texas. If you're an Austinite, of course, you survived it. I was here this summer during, the hottest, driest month we've ever had, listening to people lie about what was happening. Never a happy thing, to hear. So, the life of a political activist or a civil rights person is frequently a bit melancholy because you find yourself always taking casualties. And no victory is permanent. But, also no defeat is permanent either, and it's important to keep a sense of perspective on this and to realize that, like, the point of free speech is not some abstract principle, but your ability to speak freely. And that counts for a lot. And the ability to make things in a scene like this, it has similar kinds of political attacks to internet free expression. There's intellectual property problems, there's open source difficulties, there's, the strangle the baby business, there's everything you would read in the Maker Bill of Rights. If you can't take it apart, you don't own it, so forth and so on. These are not the same line of work, but they are similar, and they're existing in the same historical period with the same pressures being put upon them. And although EFF-Austin is a small group, I would say that like its city, Austin, culturally it punches way above its own weight. And it's wrong to think that because you're small and there aren't a lot of you that you can't make a big difference, because you can. And the struggles that the city went through, as I explained in my book, were part of a much larger context of struggle. That struggle is now historical. Nobody's going to go around busting bulletin board systems in the year 2012 because bulletin board systems don't exist. But we still got WikiLeaks, ACTA, Adobe. You can look all over the world. There's a web designer in Iran who's about to get shot right now. There are people running websites who are being abducted, killed. We've had, the web revolutions, Twitter revolutions. People have taken to the streets with cell phones all over the planet over this. It's not a small problem, and it's not going to go away. You will not have the internet that you had 20 years ago. All right, that's not possible. But you don't have to lamely roll over at the sight of bluster from the internet's increasingly desperate enemies. There is no reason to bow the knee to forces that are sinister and that really have no business interfering in your life. All right?
Yes.
Yes. It's a long struggle. Our children are going to be engaged in it. Our grandparents were engaged in it. It's 90% of success is showing up in a struggle like this. And I'm happy that you showed up, and you're like a good crowd to me. Hackerspaces, you know, I cover a lot of this. I used to write for Make Magazine. It's a very happening thing to be involved in hackerspaces right now. You know, this vogue is not going to last forever, so I would urge you to like get involved in it while you're really interested. There's a book out now called Collaborative Consumption, which I would urge you to read. It's kind of an interesting technical work on this. You know, if you're into this kind of stuff, you got to be looking into Kickstarter. This year, Kickstarter distributed more money to make up people than the National Endowment of the Arts distributed. It's bigger than the federal NEA Kickstarter, you know, and it's all people like you. Have you ever heard of the Free Access Technology Lab, the FAT Lab? I would urge you to look these guys up if you're into like rebel tech art. These guys are like multinational, sort of very happening bunch of guys. I've spent a lot of my time publicizing them on my blog. I got a category called Tech Art in my Wired blog that I'm very fond of. And you know, that's about it, except that I think there's sort of three categories of freedom in the world right now that really matter. There's like free as in beer, and there's free as in free speech, and then there's free as in just take some stuff because you need it. So just take some stuff if you need it. And thank you for your attention.